Hello everyone, this is Keo Andrews. I'm doing another video for Uzaki-chan. I'm going to do episodes 6 through 8, I think. 6 through 8 or 6 through 7. We'll find out right now. So, I want to start off with doing episode 6 and then work my way up. It's going to be a two-parter for right now, because I'm going to do 6 through 8 in this video, and then 9 through 10 in the next one. That's the latest they have so far as I know. So episode 6 involves, the starting out is Uzaki's being trained by Sakurai to be a waitress, server, basically. And you know how Sakurai is very uptight and very studious and everything. And it turns out Uzaki already knows how to do it and just makes fun of him through the entire thing. Basically just teases him until she sets up that, hey, I already learned how to do this morning, and Ami's in on it, and the boss are in on it. He's just like, and it's just them arguing for about 15-20 minutes. Not in real time, not in the actual anime, but it feels like 15-20 minutes, basically. Until later on, Uzaki, I think, asks Sakurai, what are you doing this summer? He goes, I'm not going to really do much. I'm just going to play video games, basically, all summer, by myself. Nobody to bother me. Honestly, that's just me. I love it. I love that. That's why I feel very connected to this character, because that's the same way I would probably respond. She goes, that's lame. You're a loser. We should go to the beach. And he actually agrees to go to the beach. He agrees to go. Then Ami agrees to go with them, along with Sagaki, who's a friend of Sakurai, who's a college friend of Sakurai. And they're all going to the beach. They do... I don't really care for beach episodes. I really don't. Even with these two as in the case of like a beach episode, I still don't really care for a beach episode. But essentially Sakurai gets a little too ahead of himself and actually just starts enjoying his time alone. He's like, oh, I finally get to swim, because he used to be on the swim team and go to swim meets and stuff, and he got carried away and is just like swimming, and he goes, Ami tells her, you can't be leaving Uzaki alone, especially on a beach, especially with her bathing suit. The guys checking her out. Definitely compliment her on her swimsuit and stuff. So he goes over to compliment her, and it ends up being like a minute of Uzaki just beating the crap out of Sakurai out of embarrassment. That all ends with, it's like the typical beach episode where he somehow manages to fondle her by accident by being blindfolded, and him playing some kind of weird beach game where you smash the watermelon. It feels very typical. But after that, they go out to eat at Sakaki's house, which they realize his parents are suddenly rich, basically. He then says, oh, hey, we're going to do a test of courage out in the forest. And Sakurai's like, no, that's not happening. I'm too scared. I don't like ghosts. I don't want to do that. And this is where I connect with Uzaki-chan more, because then he's like, oh, I'm so glad I have my phone as a source of light. And she takes it away from him in this forest walk and runs away. And he's like, no, come back, please, come back. And they're like, Ami and Sakaki are like, this is not going according to plan at all. This is just not happening. And it ends up with like Sakurai on his knees, like, please give me back the phone. And Uzaki's like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't think you would, act this way. Until they finally get home. Sakurai is passed on the couch. Uzaki-chan is playing video games. She looks to see like what's happening with Sakurai. She says, all right, finally, you're asleep. Well, it's time for an opening. I can literally take pictures, do something to you. She goes over to try and take a picture or make fun of him. He grabs her and holds her while she's sleeping. She goes, I feel kind of embarrassed, but I'll sleep. I'll let you hold me while you sleep. And the next morning, she goes, you should really invest in a body pillow. He goes, why? He goes, you just should. So that's essentially what happens. That's basically Clip Notes version, because I want to give you guys Clip Note versions, so that way you guys can go see it and watch it and see what you think for yourselves for animation wise, and see if it's worth watching the episode. I don't think it's worth watching the episode per se for me. at least episode 6, I feel like you could definitely skip. I'm not a fan of it. It's very average. It's a beach episode, which automatically almost means you could just throw it away and just be like, yeah, nothing happened to the story. So the next one is episode 7, which honestly is the most relatable episode that's happened on the show. Like episodes 7 and 8 are probably the best, according to like being relatable to like college student or someone that's the first time drinking. First time drinking and first time getting drunk, I would say. So this involves the start of the episode is Uzaki gets a call from Sakurai and goes, "Hey, I need to be with you. Like, I want to be with you right now." And she goes, "What are you talking about? What?" And it turns out he's talking about her going to the cafe with him, to the cat cafe, because he's too scared to go in by himself and he's too embarrassed. The reason why I say this episode is so relatable, like, I have a cat. I own a cat. I love cats. Like, I love animals, but I love my cat the most. Like, she's my favorite. She's my favorite cat in the world. So he's like, "Oh my god, I get to pet all these cats, and this is so fun." And Uzaki's like, "Man." First she's mad because, the wrong phrasing, but then she's like, "Oh my god, like, this is weirdly creepy of how happy and smiley you are." And I would be the same way. I'd be like really happy, really overjoyed, all that stuff. So she finally says, he goes, "How can I repay you, for coming with me to the cat cafe?" She goes, "I want to spend basically, like, I want my birthday to be special." That's basically what she said, like maybe spend the birthday with him or, get a gift from him. He first doesn't hear because he has a cat on his lap. And if you've ever had a cat in your lap, you will let your legs fall asleep before you let that cat wake up. That's just a rule. So that happens, and he goes, "Hey, she's like, just take the cat off." He lifts the cat up off of him and like pokes at his feet, as just like teasing him, poking at his feet, so the needle feeling stops. After that, he starts trying not to scream, and the lady of the cat cafe yells at him and goes, "Okay, you guys need to take that at home. Like, don't bring that here. Take that at home." And they're just like, "What? What is happening? What are you talking about?" So they get kicked out, and he's like, she's like, "I really had fun. We should go again." He goes, "Not to that cafe, though. We can't go back to that cafe," which is pretty obvious. You can't go back. So he's racking his brain trying to figure out what to get her for a gift for her birthday. He gets a call from her, and she goes, "I need to be with you." And he goes, "Huh?" And it turns out she means to go out drinking with him on her 20th birthday, which this is where it gets even more relatable than the cats for me. So she starts drinking. She starts like telling you the feeling of what alcohol feels like having like a shot or having like a glass of whiskey or something. You have that burning tingling either in your chest or your throat or your stomach, depending on when it hits you. And she goes, I feel the burning in it. And then she has beer for the first time. She kind of says either she's talking about hard liquor or just beer. She goes, "It feels kind of like soda, like carbonated, not like exactly the taste, but carbonated." She goes on to have like, I don't even know how many drinks. Sakurai noticed that she's like pounding away at the drinks. Like she's just like, "All right, it's time for another and another and another and another." To the point where she gets drunk. He is slightly drunk. He goes, "This is why you need to like slow down," and stuff like that. They've been drinking till I think like 3 a.m. or something, to the point where like the trains don't pass anymore. And he goes, I should take her home, but taxis cost too much, and I'm a little drunk. I don't know what to do." So they go to the convenience store. She buys snacks and more beer, and they end up going back to his place. And he's like already falling asleep. He's already on the floor. Got a cover on him, a pillow, and everything. And she's like sitting up, playing video games, eating snacks. She goes, "Come on, play with me. He's like, no. He pretends to fall asleep. She gets really close to him and goes, "What if I kiss you?" Well, you wake up at that point, and she goes in for a kiss, and he like backs away, like he shoots to the back and across of the room, like literally. And she goes, "I was just joking. I was just trying to see to wake you up." Suddenly, she's like, "All right, I'm tired, and I want to go to sleep." So she ends up going to sleep. The next morning is the most relatable content whenever you're drunk, and the next day is that you're really hungover, like you're badly hungover. Like she's in the toilets, on the bathroom floor, just puking and saying how bad she feels and like how she has a headache and stuff. So then, like after all that happens, he's telling her, you need to drink more water with it. You need to take it in moderation and stuff like that. So after that, there becomes a tweaky moment about alcohol in moderation, and it feels super realistic to me. Like this. That's what it feels like. That's how it normally is. You need to take it in moderation. You need to have water with it. Then after that, she says thank you for like taking care of her, and she's on his futon, and she's going to sleep. And he's like, I just forgot to say happy birthday. And during that point where he says happy birthday, she like pukes all over his like futon, and it's a photo of just like bubbles coming out of her mouth, but it's like basically puke. And the end of the episode is her I think her feeling better, and then him throwing out his only futon that he had. And it's just the saddest thing when if you throw out a bed that's like it's not bad, and it's not like it's in good condition, but it's not in worse condition. It just feels so sad to throw something away. I would definitely recommend watching this episode, especially if you're either a college student or you turn 21 or something like that. You've turned the age of drinking, and you've had your like first drink, and you were first drunk, and then you had your first hangover. This is very relatable to that. When I read this, I was like, this is super relatable. This is definitely something that you should watch. It's super entertaining. So episode 8, I'll start off with it's entertaining. Again, I recommend watching this episode just because it lapses over to what happens after the hangover. So they meet. They meet in public, and it's basically just a wrong phrase of the whole entire situation in front of people, where she's apologizing. She's saying, you caught me in a compromising position. She's willing to pay. And it's basically her saying, her sorry for the mattress. I'll pay you for the new mattress. She's like, no. And the women think that he's like taking advantage of her until he finally accepts the payment. Then, like, it's very an awkward feeling between Uzaki and like Sakurai, just because it's kind of an awkward moment when you're with someone after like you were drunk and hungover, unless you know them very well. But like this is kind of like he knows them very well, but it's also kind of romantic, and he's never really seen that side of her. So it's definitely one of those things where he tries to figure out how to make her feel better. She doesn't really talk that much. She's kind of quiet. She reminds Sakurai of when she was first in high school. She was very quiet, very to herself. So Sakurai goes, all right, what should I do? And asks advice from the cafe manager. The cafe manager says, all right, take these free, fireworks festival tickets. I'm not exactly happy about that. I hate the fireworks festival theme a lot of the time. But they go to the fireworks festival. He like compliments her like crazy because he was told to make her feel better, and she's finally feeling better. After a while, she gets really embarrassed and tries to hit him, and she has like this purse because she's wearing like the ceremonial robes, and she like boom like whacks him in the face with the stuff in her like purse thing, which is like probably phone, wallet, like kind of hard objects, and hits him in the jaw, which like jiggles his jaw and kind of like shows an image of a brain being shaken. He falls to the ground, passed out, has a flashback about when he caught her outside in high school, like after school, doing swimming lessons without somebody watching. So he decides to help her out by teaching her kind of how to swim. After that, they're walking home, I guess, and they hit the fireworks festival. And he's basically gives her food, and they watch the fireworks together. So suddenly he wakes up from that dream. He sees he kind of sees Uzaki-chan, like he's on her lap, but like her boobs are just like covering her face and everything. So he's like, oh, what happened? I'm sorry I knocked you out. And he's like, great. She like feels bad again. And like that was completely pointless. It's back to square one now. But he says something like he appreciates her, like making his life a little bit more fun now when being there for him. So she finally feels better. And then after that, like you see the fireworks happen. He goes, I can't see a thing. I can't see anything. But he's like, I'm just glad. I'm glad that we can hang out. The end of the episode is basically Uzaki going, okay, what are we doing tomorrow? He goes, what are we going to do tomorrow? And that's the end of the episode. I feel like it's a good episode. It shows a little bit of a different side of Uzaki. And I don't know. I suggest watching it. I'm not a fan of fireworks episodes by far. Like I've told you, I'm not a fan. So the 2 out of 3, I would say definitely watch the 2. So that would be my thing. Watch 7, 8. I think you'll actually really enjoy it for what it's worth. So hope you guys enjoy the video and have a nice day.